Welcome back to the deep dive. Look, we cover a lot of stories here. Some are inspiring, some are informative, and then some just. They stick with you because they tap into a very specific, very primal fear. Today's story is one of those.
It absolutely is. I
Yeah.
mean, it's the kind of story that starts with something totally mundane, literally a high school homework assignment, and ends with a level of psychological devastation that's hard to even quantify.
Exactly. Imagine a scenario where a standard biology project, something millions of kids do every single year, doesn't just get a grade, it effectively detonates a bomb inside a family home.
Yeah.
We aren't talking about a bad report card. We're talking about a science project that unravels a 10-year marriage.
It sounds like the plot of a thriller, doesn't it? Or like a soap opera. But the source material we're looking at today is a viral first-person account that is grounded in a very messy, very real domestic reality. It's a case study on what we call paternity fraud.
So that's a heavy term.
It is. But it's also a masterclass in human behavior. It's about what happens when someone decides to stop being a victim and starts planning what the narrator himself calls a scorched earth revenge.
Scorched earth is definitely the right term for where this goes. This isn't just a story about cheating. It's about a decade-long deception and a husband who calls himself the man who lost everything and got even, deciding to execute a revenge plot with, like, military precision.
On his 10th wedding anniversary, no less.
On the 10th anniversary.
And that's our mission today. We're going to trace this arc from that innocent biology homework all the way to a brunch toast that ends with an eviction notice.
Yeah.
But beyond the drama, we need to unpack the psychology here. I mean, why do people do this? What is the provider trap? And ethically, how do we process a man who destroys his wife publicly,
Yeah.
but then fights to keep the child who isn't biologically his?
It's a heavy one today, but it's fascinating. So let's get into the timeline. It all starts on a Tuesday night, totally mundane evening. The daughter, who the narrator calls Lily, is stressing out over her biology homework. Right.
She's working on Punnett squares.
Punnett squares. For those of you who haven't been in a biology classroom in a while, or maybe tried to block it out, this is that grid diagram used to predict genotypes. You take the genes from the mother, the genes from the father, and you map out the possibilities for the child.
Eye color, hair color.
And in this case, blood type.
And this is where the glitch in the matrix happens. Lily comes to her dad, the narrator, and she is just confused, frustrated. She says, "Dad, the textbook says this is impossible. I'm doing something wrong."
Because the math just didn't add up.
Exactly. The mother, Jessica, is blood type A. The dad is blood type O. But Lily
Is type AB.
is type AB.
And for anyone scratching their head, let's just clarify the science because this is the smoking gun. Blood type inheritance is rigid. It's not like height where there's a range. Type O is recessive. It basically means you have 0 antigens to give. No A and no B.
So if you're type O, you can only pass on an O. That's it. So an O parent and an A parent can make a type A child or type O child. But to get a type AB child, you need one parent to give the A and the other to give the B. The father here, our narrator.
He had no B to give.
He had no B to give. It is biologically impossible.
That's an impossibility. But what I found so compelling about the source material is the dad's immediate reaction. He doesn't explode. He doesn't accuse. He actually laughs.
He laughs because the alternative is just insane. This is what we call the truth bias in relationships.
Yeah.
You operate on the assumption that your partner is telling the truth because, I mean, the psychological cost of doubting them is just too high.
Right. He assumes he's the one who doesn't understand the science. He tells her, "Science is complicated, sweetie. Maybe the hospital typed you wrong when you were born."
He's trying to soothe her.
He's trying to comfort his daughter, completely unaware that his life is basically over, but the seed is planted. He can't let it go. Later that night, while everyone is asleep, he's on his phone. He's on Google. And Google is brutal. It confirms it. Parent A plus parent O cannot equal child AB.
That moment of scrolling in the dark, I mean, that's the moment his world just shifts on its axis.
So he decides to test the waters. He goes to his wife, Jessica, and just casually asks, "Hey, are you sure about your blood type? Lily's homework is weird." He's giving her an out. He's hoping she says, "Oh, maybe I'm AB."
And this moment right here is the pivot point for the entire story. He describes looking at her face and seeing a micro expression of terror. It's that split second, less than a second really, where the brain registers a threat before the social mask slides back into place.
And then comes the gaslighting. She doesn't say, "Let's check it out." She laughs, says she probably remembered it wrong, and then hits him with this line, "Stop being weird."
Stop being weird. That is such a loaded, weaponized phrase in this context. It's a defensive move designed to make his valid curiosity seem like a character flaw. It's trying to make him feel unstable for noticing reality.
But he noticed something else. Her hands were shaking. She turned away to wash dishes, and her hands were trembling.
That somatic response.
Mm.
The body keeps the score. Her body betrayed her. That physical reaction told him that this wasn't just a mistake. It was a secret.
That's when the switch flips. He stops being the husband, and he starts being the investigator. He says he didn't sleep that night. As soon as the house was empty the next morning, he went into full evidence collection mode.
It's straight out of a procedural drama. He goes into the bathroom. He grabs Lily's hairbrush, making sure it has hair in it for a DNA sample, and he grabs his own toothbrush.
He drives to a private lab and pays a premium for rush results. And I want to pause on this waiting period here, because in the source, he says the next 72 hours were the longest of his life.
The limbo.
He describes looking at Lily, this girl he calls his mini-me, the kid he's raised for 10 years, coached in soccer, helped with homework, and feeling this wave of nausea. He's wondering, is she a stranger?
That is profound psychological torture. This is where the concept of paternity fraud becomes so damaging. It's not just about the biological disconnect. It's about the retroactive destruction of memory. Every birthday, every milestone, every "you look just like your dad," all of it suddenly becomes a lie.
It's all tainted.
He's mourning a death while the person is still sitting right in front of him eating cereal.
And then the email arrives. He opens it in his car. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. Excluded.
That number is absolute. There is no wiggle room, no margin for error.
He says he physically threw up in his car. He felt like he was punched in the throat. It really highlights that this isn't trauma.
It's a shattering of reality. But interestingly, he didn't collapse. The shock gave way to a need for answers. He needed the who. And this leads us to the digital forensics phase.
Right. He waits for Jessica to get in the shower, classic timing, and he accesses her archived Instagram messages. And this is where the story gets really, really dark.
The archived folder is the digital equivalent of a shoebox buried in the backyard. People keep things there they know they shouldn't, but can't bear to delete. It's a trophy case of betrayal.
And what he found changes everything. It wasn't a one-night stand that she regretted. It wasn't a mistake. It was a strategy. Let me read the key exchange she found. The ex-boyfriend asks, "Does he know?" And Jessica replies, "No. And he never will. He's a good provider. You're broke. I'm doing this for us."
Oof. That phrase, "he's a good provider," it just chills the blood. It completely objectifies the husband. In that moment, he realizes he wasn't a partner in her eyes. He was a utility. He was a financial resource being harvested to support a child that isn't his. This is the provider trap.
It's calculating. She literally did the math. She chose the stable guy to foot the bill while keeping an emotional or biological connection with the broke ex, but it gets worse.
It gets worse.
A biological father, the ex-boyfriend, writes back, "I hate seeing him play dad to my kid."
Wow. That is the line that turns this from a tragedy into something almost villainous. Play dad. They were mocking him. They were discussing his role as a father, which he was performing earnestly and with love, as a performance, as a joke. It reveals a level of contempt for him that is just hard to stomach.
It really is. I mean, it's one thing to be deceived. It's another to be the punchline of an inside joke between your wife and her lover for a decade. The husband says this specifically, "She stole my life. She made me raise another man's child while she laughed at me behind my back."
And that realization that he was being laughed at is what fuels the next phase. He says he wanted to run into the bathroom and confront her right then, scream, break things, but he stopped. He decided that screaming was too easy. He wanted something more permanent.
This brings us to the strategy. And the discipline required here is insane. Their 10th wedding anniversary is exactly 2 weeks away. Instead of exploding, he decides to plan a Cold War.
This is where we see him compartmentalize. He shuts down the emotional center of his brain and engages the tactical center. He treats the marriage dissolution like a hostile corporate takeover.
First, he secures the assets.
Exactly.
Right, he verifies the house. He bought it before the marriage. It's in his name. Then he separates the finances, moving his share of the savings to a secure account.
Which is a critical tactical move. By the time the confrontation happens, he wants to ensure she has no resources to fight back immediately. He's removing her safety net. Then, the legal paperwork. He has a lawyer draft divorce papers citing adultery and paternity fraud. He is dotting every I and crossing every T.
But the most devious part is the deception he plays on her. He tells Jessica, "Honey, I have a huge surprise for you for our anniversary. I'm going to change our lives."
And she buys it Because why wouldn't she? For 10 years, her deception has worked perfectly. She thinks it's a vacation home, maybe a new car, jewelry. She's completely trapped in her own narrative where she is the clever one who got away with it.
She has no idea the power dynamic has already shifted. She thinks she's walking into a celebration, but she's walking into an ambush.
And then, the trap is set. He insists on an audience. He tells her he's invited her parents and her sister for a celebratory brunch.
Which is such a significant strategic choice.
It is. Why invite the parents? It ensures that the truth isn't just known, it's witnessed. It prevents her from spinning the story later. If he just kicked her out privately, she could tell her parents he was abusive or he went crazy.
Right.
By doing it in front of them, he controls the narrative completely. He uses her own family as the jury.
So let's go to the execution. It's the morning of the anniversary. The scene is set. Mimosas are flowing. Jessica's family is there, smiling, eating melon. Jessica clinks her glass and makes a toast to 10 wonderful years.
The irony in that moment must have been suffocating for him, watching her toast to a lie that only he knows is dead.
He stands up. He says his face was stone cold, no smile, and he toasts to 10 years and to the truth.
That's the signal, the shift in tone. You can almost feel the air just leave the room. The parents probably froze, glass halfway to their mouths.
He hands her a beautifully wrapped gift box. Her parents have their partners out, expecting a necklace. She tears it open, and her smile just vanishes.
Because inside, there are only two things. The DNA test results showing a 0% match.
And the divorce papers.
Can you imagine the silence in that room?
She looks up, pale, and whispers, "What is this?" And he doesn't whisper it back. He announces it to the room. He says, "That is proof that you have lied to me every single day for a decade. Lily isn't mine. She belongs to the ex-boyfriend. Go live with him."
It's just brutally efficient. He strips away the facade in front of the people whose opinion she likely values most, her parents. He isn't just ending the marriage, he's dismantling her reputation in real time. He is burning her social capital to the ground.
And the reaction is chaos. The mother gasps. The father nearly faints. Jessica starts screaming that it's a mistake, that he's crazy. She's trying to gaslight him one last time, even with the DNA paper in her hand.
But he's prepared for that too. Words are one thing, but logistics are another. And this is where the physical reality of the eviction comes in.
He points to the window. A moving truck pulls into the driveway.
That is the cinematic climax. It's not just a threat, it's happening. Now, it underscores that this isn't a negotiation, it's a removal.
He tells her, "That's for you. The locks are being changed in 1 hour. Get your stuff and get out of my house."
It's the ultimate power move. It reclaims his agency in a situation where he had none for 10 years. It's a complete reversal of the provider dynamic. She saw him as a resource. Well, the resource just cut off the supply.
So let's talk about the aftermath, because the brunch ends, but, life continues. Jessica leaves, literally dragging trash bags of clothes. Her own parents refuse to look at her.
That detail about her parents is telling. The shame was total. She lost her support system in the same moment she lost her marriage. The source notes she is now living in a small apartment with the ex-boyfriend who, critically, is still broke. So the entire strategy she built her life around, the financial comfort, it collapsed.
She ended up exactly where she feared being.
Broke and with the broke boyfriend.
But the part that really sticks with me, and I think this is what makes this deep dive so complex, is the daughter, Lily. She's the innocent party in all of this. She's just a kid who did a biology project.
Absolutely. And this is where the husband's character really comes through and where the ethics get complicated. Despite the DNA results, despite the rage he felt toward the mother, he sat Lily down.
He told her that no matter what biology says, he is still her dad. He's fighting for partial custody.
That is a profound distinction. He separated the child from the deception. He recognized that while his marriage was a lie, his fatherhood was real. The bond he built over 10 years, helping with homework, the mini-me connection, the scraped knees, that wasn't fake on his end.
And he wasn't going to punish the child for the sins of the mother.
It raises such a huge ethical debate, doesn't it? On one hand, you have this scorched earth revenge on the wife, public humiliation, eviction, total destruction.
Which, let's be honest, serves a primal need for justice. She orchestrated a fraud that stole a decade of his life and resources. In the eyes of many, the punishment fit the crime. He wanted her to feel the displacement and shock that he felt.
Exactly. He wanted to inflict the same level of chaos on her life that she inflicted on his psyche. But on the other hand, he maintained his dignity where it mattered most, with the child.
Contrast him with the biological father, the one she was texting.
Right. That guy mocked the idea of raising the child. He had no interest in the actual labor of parenting. The husband, by fighting for custody of a child that isn't genetically his, proved he was the real father in every way that actually counts. It challenges our definition of parenthood. Is it sperm, or is it showing up?
He closes the account by saying, I lost my wife, I lost the illusion of my perfect family, but I kept my dignity, and I kept the truth.
The illusion of a perfect family. That's the key takeaway. He realized that living in a painful truth is better than living in a beautiful lie. It's a hard lesson, but a necessary one. He couldn't keep living in the Truman Show.
It really is a story about a man who had his past stolen, but decided to take aggressive control of his future. And, it makes you think about how technology is changing secrets.
Oh, completely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it brings up an uncomfortable reality of the modern age. We have cheap, accessible DNA testing now. We have ancestry kits, 23andMe. High school science projects are uncovering secrets that used to stay buried forever.
That's a great point. The era of secret paternity is kind of ending, isn't it?
It is. The maternity fraud game is becoming impossible to play. You can't hide biology anymore. And this raises a really important question for everyone listening. In a world where biological truth is just a swab away, does DNA define parenthood? Or is it the person who shows up for 10 years of homework, heartbreaks, and science projects?
And perhaps more provocatively, is the truth always worth the price of destroying a child's reality? Because Lily now knows her life began with a lie.
That's the lingering question. The truth set him free, but it shattered her world. Was it worth it? That's for every family to figure out.
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Take care.